Targeted Individual Delle here. I have, after having about 2-ish hours of sleep, found myself in a city about 72 miles away. I used to call this city home, but I moved away from family and friend and those I felt most comfortable with to just be on my own without the constant burden, heaviness of living with family and trauma. So I'm up here today for like medical shit and forgive this is it. I will try to forgive it. If you can do it, I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Whatever. So for whatever, I'm up here in my we'll just call it my hometown, even though it's not. And I've experienced a shit ton of gang stalking. Lots of other things like v2k, R&M, lots of dues, all the typical shit. I had a dentist appointment up here this morning at 9 o'clock, which is why I'm up here so flippin' early. And let's see, I don't know what time it is right now, but it's irrelevant. Probably like noonish. Right, so I don't know if my dentist is a gang stalker or a infraguard specialist or anything like that, but I'm keeping that open and closed simultaneously, trying not to look too heavily into something that could easily be a coincidence, misconstrued as gang stalking, or gang stalking misconstrued as coincidence. I don't know. I'm always open to interpretation. And a lot of the times what I would consider my own interpretation is forced thought from the v2k or the R&M. So everything is really confusing all the time, unfortunately. But I'm trying to talk to my pops, my father. And we recently just lost my grandmother, my father's mother, very recently. And even on that, I haven't really been able to fully process that. I've been kind of feeling the kind of ebb and flow, the roller coaster of extreme grief on top of the shit that I've already been experiencing with my targeting versus like the actual loss of someone that I valued in this life highly and sought comfort from. And I can't imagine how my pops is really dealing with this. I can only tell from what I can gather from talking to him. So it's stress. It's just stress and misery all around. But I'm talking to him, trying to explain that the dentist that I went to this morning, and I don't mean to be insensitive about culture or race or anything like that. I'm an extremely open person. I don't care what gender or race you are, as long as you believe in equity and certain levels of equality. I'm okay with that. That's just the type of person I am. So I'm asking this fellow, after they had the technician take x-rays of my complaint areas, and he took a very brief look at he'd fucking tapped on my teeth and determined that I've been grinding my teeth, maybe in my sleep. So he suggested I get a night guard. But me looking at my teeth, I'm uneducated in the world of dentistry, but I don't know. I look at my back molars and I say, all of that black kind of in the crevice looks like a cavity to me. You know, it feels like a cavity. I've had a cavity before, and I've had cavities go so bad where they had to be root canaled. And for a TI and for other conspiracy theory people like me, we know what that kind of work on a person does and what it means and all of the other implications, right? So I asked the doctor, you know, what natural remedies can I take to rid myself or to deal with this pain and potentially to heal the damage that is done to my teeth? And his response is, you need a night guard, because he thinks I'm grinding. And I don't know that if I'm grinding. I've never been a grinder. Historically, I'm in my mid-30s. Okay, even though I might not look at it. I might not look like it. Or maybe to some of you I do. Or maybe even look older. Look, I don't care. I've never been a teeth grinder, historically. And I have never needed a night guard, but now he's suggesting a night guard. So, okay, fine. We'll get a night guard. My insurance doesn't cover it. Sure, fine. And his other suggestion was a muscle relaxant, which I immediately thought was bizarre because going to a dentist for the majority of my life, no one has ever excuse me. No one has ever prescribed me a muscle relaxant as a dentist. So I thought that was odd. I asked a bunch of follow-up questions to verify that's what he meant. And from my understanding, he did. But when I spoke to the tech and the person I was going to for checkout, they were like, no, dentists don't typically prescribe a muscle relaxant. And I was like, okay, well, I thought that was weird too. But all the same, whatever.
This is ready.
Oh, thank you. And we got chopsticks in there?
I got a fork. You want chopstick?
Chopsticks, please. I'm in, yeah, right. I'm getting noodles for myself and for Mom's, whatever. So, I thought that was weird. And ultimately, there's no muscle relaxers. And, you know, I'm okay with that. The night guard will just have to do. But I did ask him for a alternative to Western medicine. Because his other suggestion was getting composite fillings for each of the teeth to prevent further damage, which on one hand, you know, I agree this could be helpful, but on the other hand, it's like, okay, what materials are you actually putting in the composite? Can I look at the material, the ingredients to the composite? You know, it should be a very easy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a great day. It should be a very easy procedure, fillings and all that stuff, but ultimately I walked away with just saying, I'll get a fucking night guard. Whatever. So I'm trying to explain this to my pops, and I'm trying to explain my reasoning for not accepting the suggestion of this doctor who is only relying on Western medicine. And they're not pleased, but they're like, my explanations for why I'm not doing it and my complaints, they're not being met with the same level of understanding of deception from Western government, Western medicine that I currently am going to meet those types of treatments with. And, you know, I don't know if you guys have that kind of parent or a family member that just says your name in a certain way that it just makes your skin crawl. And it just sounds so condescending and just like, I don't know, like they're coming from a place that isn't of respect, but of like, I'm looking down on you from my pedestal and you're not right and you're wrong and I know everything. Like not even considering alternative information. And you know, that shit just really grinds my flipping gears, because no matter what I do to explain over time, over the past 5 years, everyone still thinks I'm flipping nuts. And I get it. At this point, my behavior could definitely seem a little erratic, and not withdrawn enough, and sometimes not even as respectful enough as it needs to be. But and people looking at the behavior can easily just say, oh, she's crazy, lock her up. And of course I had someone do that right when I started having my v2k, right before I understood, right as I understood what's happening with me, before I really knew, before I fully accepted the reality of what's going on. There was the chance that, hey, maybe I am schizophrenic. Maybe I have missed so many hours of sleep and stayed up 5 days in a row, and that is what is causing this phenomenon. And sure, a me before would have entertained that, but a me now, after knowing, after putting 2 and 2 and 4 and 4 and 8 and 8 together, we'll never accept that, but the doctors will. So yes, my credibility with my family, with the people who I care about that also care about me, my support system. Everyone thinks I need to take Abilify, aripiprazole, Latuda, what's the other one? There's just so many that I've tried already. I tried them all. Every medication that they consider giving people with schizophrenic symptoms, I've tried all of them. The old ones, the new ones, I've tried them. I hoped it's just not it. So at this point, I know what's up. You know what's up. It's unfortunate. We do what we have to. We live as we must. We accept reality, and if we can broaden the perceptions of others to help them accept reality, we do that. But when it's your support system, and I'm just really venting, when it's your support system and they don't support you and they blame your situation, everything, the symptoms you're experiencing on mental disorders, which, I mean, technically this is kind of a mental neurological disorder in a way. But you don't get the support you need because your credibility has been slashed. It's very upsetting. And I only have a small, very tiny group of people, and they're all blood related, that I really give a flip about their perception of me. And they know that. Of course they do. They have access to my memories. They literally can ask me a question and force me to tell a truthful answer, even though naturally I would just flip and lie to anyone. But I can't to them because they're in my, So those people are the ones who deny my credibility entirely. And it stresses me out. When you have no support system, they still love you. I still feel love from them. I do. But it's not exactly the support that I need. Their gauge of patience with me and my pleas for help, understanding, etc., to try to educate them to try to at least point them in the direction that would lead them to answers. But they don't ask the questions, so they don't seek the answers. So that makes it even more frustrating. There's really one person I care about the most in this world, and that's my brother. And I could literally cry. My eyes are watering. There's one person, and they destroyed is culpability the right word? I don't know, I'm having a brain fog. But they destroyed the trust that he had in anything that I say. And he takes everything. His perspective is looking at me and talking to me as one of a concerned family member of a person who has severe mental and degrading disorder. And it breaks my heart every time I think about it, because he's really the only one that I would care about, his opinion, his advice. He's my younger brother. Up until 5 years ago, up until 2020, I'm taking care of that little motherfucker. You have a problem, you come to me. I'll take care of it. And at this point now, he doesn't trust me anymore for even little things. And they destroyed that. And I see that same type of destruction in my relationships with any people. The very few people. I've never had many groups, like many numbers of people that I cared about, and that I cared about them enough to care about their opinions. If that makes any sense, I'm sorry if I'm not explaining it in a way that you can understand. My brain is constantly being fogged and muffled. But there hasn't been many people. And he was literally at the number one slot for my entire life. There's really been no one else. My baby brother. And he maybe, will I don't know. I talked to him when I was up here last in hometown. And I do plea, and I try to educate, but they have exhausted his patience with me. Where before we went up to the mountain, there was a well of patience. And he has none for me now. It's so rough because that was my person. When you have no people, what do? You turn to substance. You turn to advice from strangers online. Something that's familiar, something that makes sense. Even now, the v2k is with me all the time. Sometimes it's tune-outable. Sometimes most times it's full v2k all the time. 24/7 in my dreams, which they construct half the time. Right when I wake up. I don't know. I think maybe 2020 was the last time I was actually able to just fall asleep. I don't even fall asleep. They just knock me out. And then they wake me up when they feel like it. After a dream that they constructed has ended. Anyway, It's already been 20 minutes. Things that you can take from my experiences. We'll go there. We always need to end on advice and maybe some positivity. It's hard for me to find positivity. I literally dwell in negativity all the time. Things that we can take. If there's already resistance in your support system, and the people that you consider most important to you, whether you're just experiencing street theater, gang stalking, if it's even the extremes of v2ks, if you've got the dudes aimed at you, any of it, it's really difficult when they've also got dudes aimed at your family, your support system, to try to get comfort from them. I want to say self-reliance is key, but if you're like me and you're like an escapist, I'm an escapist. If you're like that, you know, seeking outside sources for the answers to your problems or to help you cope with, I don't know, substance, anything like that, which I will always advise against. You know, I'll smoke a vape. I've tried to quit. I've literally etched into my vapes, this is the last one. When the outside sources have control and they've mapped your brain out, they know exactly where your addiction is and to what. And you might want in your heart and your soul to give substance up, and you can't because they won't let you. That's how I feel about vapes. They even gave me one. They intensified my predilection towards alcohol so that they can justify my liver shutting down, so that they can justify a heart attack, which I inadvertently taught these mountain fucks from Laytonville, California, how to stop my heart. 2024. And so they had. And at this point, how many times have they literally killed me, stopped my heart, made it so that no oxygen flows to my brain? Who knows at this point? I'm sorry, I'm back to complaining. Is it me? Is it them? Who fucking knows? But, okay, what's something positive we can take away from this? Self-reliance. I won't say prayer because I don't believe in gods. So, you know, try to draw power from yourself. I have a hard time with this, but I do work at it. Also realize that these people who do this to you, be it government officials, InfraGard, be it some kind of private sectors aside from InfraGard, be it people who have simply purchased this technology that's easily obtainable from the dark web, anything like that. Know that the people who do this to you have no love. They don't have any. And whatever love that is shown to them from their family, animals, the environment, the planet, they can't actualize it. They don't process it enough. It's not enough for them. It's not enough. All they have in lieu of love is an extreme hatred towards living things, towards animals, towards humans, and whatever species might else be out there aside from plants, animals, humans, You know, I'm not denying or confirming the existence of aliens, etc. You know, we'll get into that another day. But just know that people who have actual real love and love for everything in their hearts, I don't feel that they would have the ability to enforce this type of punishment and torture upon other living beings. I strongly believe that. I came to this realization an hour ago, maybe a little bit more or less. They don't have the love. People, animals, things can show these people love, and they can't internalize it and feel it. And I honestly get that. People will fucking shoot love into your fucking brain and into your heart all day. And sometimes that's all that those people can give. But to those people, it's not enough. So they have to seek comfort from other outside sources, which is like, you know, torture and things like that. So even though you might think that you did something to deserve this worse than capital punishment, don't. It doesn't matter if you pissed off some tech asshole, some mountain hippie pot farm people who just happen to have black market connections, retired military. It doesn't matter. Just know that the only thing you can really control in this situation, and even barely sometimes in this situation, is how you react, how you respond, and the way you conduct yourself. If you are a person who comes and acts with love, even when hatred takes over, if you love and feel love, then you're loved, and you can love, and you don't have what they have, which is a complete void. Sorry if I'm rambling, but it's just how I feel, guys. Something else that you can take away from this. Try to be less reactive. I know that a lot of people will say, if you have v2k, don't respond, don't react. It's not that easy. If they've mapped your brain out, they'll make you react. If they've mapped your brain out, they'll make you respond. They'll make you feel shame. They'll make you feel hatred. They'll make you feel sympathy. They'll make you feel embarrassment. They'll make you feel all the awful feelings. Sometimes the decent, tolerable, and okay feelings. Sometimes. Depends on who you're fucking dealing with. But try not to... Just try to be mindful. That's all I can really ask. And I'm sometimes so oblivious that I have to write notes to myself about the mindfulness that I need to remind myself of. Or write it on my hands in Sharpie so that every time I put my hand up, I can see it on my hands. And, you know, at some point, I'm going to get them tattied, so I don't have to worry about sanitizing away the Sharpie messages that I write for myself. Just try to be mindful about where your head is, where your emotions are, whether or not you put yourself there, etc. Okay? Alright. Thanks for watching, and I hope this is helpful. And stay up,